Boom, 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 everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you are having an amazing Saturday so far and a great weekend as well. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color in diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. The space that you know that I'm crazy about. And I shouldn't have to say this, but you know you know the drill. Hop into the comments, tell me where you're tuning in from, say hey so that I can give you the shout out that you so richly deserve. But again, I want to thank you for, giving me a little bit of your time on this, Saturday afternoon here. I'm always thankful for that. Make sure, like I said, we're here each and every Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Time. Make sure that you hop on over to the Facebook group. Get plugged in, facebook.com/group/The Color of Motion. We share a lot of industry news, have a lot of fun. There you can connect with a lot of other great creatives as well. So we definitely don't want you to miss out. But we stream live every Saturday, 3 p.m. to the YouTube channel, Facebook group, the website for the show, and LinkedIn as well. We also have an Instagram page, and we definitely want to grow our Instagram channel as well, The Color of Motion. You can find us there. We share snapshots and just little shorts and teasers and clips there as well. So definitely want you to get plugged in as well there. I always do, though, highly encourage everybody to hop on over to the YouTube channel. That's where all the action is, youtube.com/Don Terrell. There you can check out all the other great episodes that we've had and all the other great content that goes up on the channel. So definitely don't want you to miss out on that. So subscribe, hit the bell notification, get plugged in there as well. So, you get notified of when the show goes live and when new content goes up in the channel as well. Also, the store is open. We definitely want you to hop on over, especially with this holiday time coming up. Pick you up some nice swag, Color of Motion swag there, colorofmotion.net/swag. Pick you up something nice. We got a lot of great shirts, hoodies, mugs. Like I said, it's the holiday season. Give somebody something the Color of Motion and bring them to the channel. But there you'll find a lot of great gifts. My only request is that if you do pick you up something nice, snap a picture of yourself, send it on over to me so that I can share it with the community. As you can see, I got my, Color of Motion Superman shirt on here. So you can pick you up something nice. But I want to see you snap a picture, send it on over to me so we can share it with the rest of the community and on all the other channels as well. So I think with that, we might be ready to get this train on the road, or train on the tracks here. Super excited about this episode. We were talking, the guests and I, we had about another episode before this one. We were talking for a while, so definitely looking forward to continue the conversation and having a lot of fun there. So what do you say, we get going, huh? Wow. And we are back and ready to get this show on the road. Walter, what's going on, my man? It has been a minute. I've been watching your posts and stuff and definitely got to get you back on. I hope everything's going well with you there, Walter, but appreciate you stopping by and saying, hey, for sure. Like I said, everybody, you know the drill. Hop into the comments and, give a shout out. Like I said, I like these episodes and shows to be interactive, so I almost require it of you, you know. All right, this my next guest. Like I said, we had a great conversation beforehand, but super excited about this. My next guest is an animator and digital illustrator. The magic of movies, animated series, comics, and video games, all thought to be escapes from reality. But when he was younger, he didn't want to escape to another world. He wanted to make his own. And that's a short bio, and we're going to look to dive into it. So, everybody, please help me welcome my next guest and friend, Mr. Douglas Sweeper. Douglas, let me adjust this here. Awesome. Super, super excited to have you here, Douglas. Thank you so much for stopping by. And like I was telling everybody, we had about another episode before this one even started, just sitting talking. So thank you, Douglas, for coming by, man.
How's audio? Good.
Audio is great.
Sure.
Audio is great, man.
Perfect.
So thank you for coming by, Douglas. And super looking forward to sitting down and having a conversation, man.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. Like I said, we were talking about a lot of stuff before the show, but I always like to initially ask artists, what was it that got you kind of interested in illustration and animation? Were you always kind of drawing and just that type of kid that you just were always drawing and love cartoons and comics and just that type of thing?
Yeah, I always had a special relationship with cartoons. Even though my parents didn't want me sitting in front of the TV all the time, it didn't matter. If I could look at it, if I was somewhere near like cartoons, because I'm like, when I was younger, I thought it was just magic. I was like, why are these little people in this box? Why are they doing these things? How can they fly? That food that they're eating, that looks good. And then, I just wound up realizing, oh, this is animation. Somebody drew this. And I was like, wait, somebody drew this person moving? Somebody drew this person breathing? Somebody drew this person running up the stairs? I thought that was weird. And so I did a little research early on in my childhood. And then I found the production for like Snow White. And I saw Walt Disney was making this animated short that is still, I think it's still highest grossing movie to this day, if I'm not mistaken. But they painted on pieces of glass and they put them into like shelf cabinets, and they had a camera pointing down looking at these painted pieces of glass. So every time Snow White moves her hand, every time the apple is risen, every time the seven dwarves are running, there's somebody painting on pieces of glass, and there's the foreground and the background. All of it's different on a different piece of glass. I was like, that's amazing. I can't wait to do something like that.
Yeah, and that's always, which is why I love watching like the behind the scenes of things, because you see how it's done. And I was like that too when I was younger, and I wasn't. I mean, I liked watching Disney, but I was kind of more of a Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny type of person. But I did love watching like Disney show like his animators drawing and the whole process of how they made animated shorts in films. And I find it always fascinating that, we as creators, we never knew that was an option open to us as we were watching it. Oh, wow, somebody makes a living doing this?
Yeah, doing this.
Type of thing. Oh, man. Well, so how did your parents kind of help foster and encourage, say, did they recognize early in you that you had a knack or a talent or even a passion for this? And did they kind of work to kind of foster it?
Yes, yes. After we knew that it was art, because I tried a lot of different things. I did dance. I played different instruments. I've swam. I've been on swim teams. I've been in Boy Scouts. I've been in the debate club. I've been in science club. I've done a lot of different things. And then
Yeah.
once I just found art, oh, it makes sense. It clicks. Art supplies is expensive. But I will say they were actually very proud of me. I found something that I liked. I found something that I wanted to do. It actually stopped me from watching cartoons. So I wasn't watching TV anymore. I was just drawing. I was a quiet kid. I was a quiet drawing kid.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did sports. I did soccer. I did volleyball,
They kept you
track and
pretty
field.
active. Sounds like they kept you pretty
Yeah, I was
active.
definitely active.
Yeah.
Definitely very active. And when I wasn't on the field, I was still drawing. When I wasn't in orchestra, I was still drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's something that just naturally you're going to do regardless of the other things that you're doing. You'll kind of naturally
Oh
find
yeah.
that time to draw and just kind of create and be, like you said, in your own little world and create your own little
Mhm.
space. I was kind of like that with, drawing and art and my toys. I was just kind of, it was a chance to create my own little space and my own little world and just, shut out everything else that was kind of going on.
Mhm. I initially felt like I knew I wanted to do art, but because but while I was in kindergarten, instead of like drawing letters, instead of tracing the letters to make sure I could learn how to write, I was doodling.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I was doodling instead of learning how to write,
Instead of
and
learning how to write. But
yeah,
it serves it.
I was doodling. I
Yeah.
was having fun with the finger paints, but I think my parents saw that as, "Ooh, that's messy. Let's see if you like something else." So they had me try these different things because they didn't want like paint on the walls. They didn't want like a whole bunch of mess, like stuff to like stain carpet. I think they saw it as a problem in the beginning, and then they sort of leaned more into it.
Lean more into it. Yeah. And that's I think that's a blessing in and of itself when you can really figure out quickly enough what you really kind of enjoy and really kind of are good at. I was
Mhm.
like that. You realize early that that was art and you really like doing it. Where did you kind of move um, towards your education? I mean, where did you go to get like more formalized training in art in your degree
I went to Art Institute
of
of Atlanta. Sorry.
Atlanta Art Institute? And I only say it because we're an alumni, Art Institute alum myself. You know, um,
I started off in the Decatur location, the satellite location, and then went to the Dunwoody location for my last 2 years.
to yeah. Well, they must have. Well, which brings me to it because like I said, when I went, they didn't have animation. They weren't offering animation. It was more traditional graphic design. And I think
Mhm.
that so you went to the Art Institute for how long?
For 4 years.
4 years. So when I went, it was only 2 years. So I think they
Mhm.
extended it to to a bachelor's and above after I left. I think a year that next year is when they started offering traditional courses and computer courses and extended it to 4 years. Um, I only
Um,
got my associate's degree. It was only a 2 year at the time. Um, but like I said, I have I'd be interested to know what your thoughts about the Art Institute as a whole. I mean, what was your experience? 'Cause I know what mine was like and that type of thing. But what was your experience? One, getting
my
formalized
experience.
education, and then two, the school itself.
Yikes. Yikes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we got this. How do, so, Art
We
Institute.
say
Mm,
for those that are
mm,
not familiar with the Art Institute, we say that because if you are familiar with it, it's since I think all of them now have since gone under. I don't think there's any
yes.
art institutes. I, I may be wrong. There may be one, but I think all of them are done with and under. So that's
All
why
of
we
them
say
are.
they had a little patch of trouble there. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think it started at the very beginning.
yeah,
It was just because there were certain things that I saw in the Art Institute that should have been red flags, but I was like, no, I've already spent money. No,
yeah,
I've already taken the classes. No, I'm 2 years before graduating. No, I'm 2 months before graduating. Every time I saw something, I was like, I gotta keep going. I gotta push forward
yeah,
because I want this degree. And, I wound up being the first member of my immediate family to get a college degree.
yeah,
And I can be proud of that because they helped me do that. I'm very thankful for it. I probably would not be the person I was today if I haven't, gone through, trials and tribulations.
yeah.
But then I keep thinking like, God, did it have to be that? Did it have to be all of that?
Well,
So my
it,
first my first impression with the Art Institute was my case manager. My case manager was very nice. She said all these wonderful, beautiful things. You'll
of
make this
course.
amount of money. You'll definitely have a job after you graduate. And I was hooked, line, and sinker. I signed my name so fast. I gave them that money. And
Oh
then
man.
2 weeks into my classes, I go see my case manager, and they're like, "Oh, she's gone." I was like, "She's what?"
Red
I
flag
was like,
one.
"Okay." Man, she's what? Okay, cool, cool, cool. And then I was at a satellite campus in Decatur, and they were like, "We're not gonna close the Decatur campus. We love the teachers here, and the students love the teachers here. We're gonna stay open." Literally 3 weeks later, we're closing the Decatur campus. Everybody's going to Dunwoody, and I was like, "Hmm, okay, all right.
Oh
Roll with the
man.
punches. Let's go to Dunwoody, right?"
Oh man.
I go to Dunwoody, and now it's a new semester, and they have a very funny system where if you did not or cannot look at your grades from the previous semester, you now cannot look at your grades in the new semester.
Oh wow.
So I'm over here thinking everything's fine because, I'm me. I know I have all my classes together. I go to Dunwoody. I go 3 months in because they have a quarterly system. So it's every 3 months you get new classes, pass or fail, doesn't matter. You got to get those credits. They want to get you in and out of
And
that
out
school
of
as
there.
fast as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
So
That was
I'm taking my classes, and my new case manager says, "Okay, you have to take art history." And I was like, "I've already taken art history. You must mean I have to take art history too." And she was like, "No, you have to take art history one because you didn't pass." And I was like, "What do you mean I didn't pass?" She's like, "You have a zero." I was like, "I have a what?" I have a zero. I've never had a zero in my life.
wow.
My middle school grades, high school grades, all my grades before getting to art history, grades from this school, I've never had a zero. What do you mean I have a
Wow.
zero? Turns out one of the teachers actually left the school, moved, changed her phone number all in the same week, and she forgot to put in our grades. And literally, our grades was 90%. The final was 90% of the grade, and she didn't put it in.
Holy mackerel. Wow. I guess I'm glad
And I was
I
just,
got
I
in
was
and
two
out when
years
I
in.
did. Yeah,
That was 2 years in.
I guess I'm glad I only went for 2 years because, like I said, it wasn't too long. But like I said, I kind of picked that up, like you were saying, which was the
Hmm.
rap on the Art Institute. They were just kind of churning people through just to make money. They weren't really, I
Oh,
don't
they
think,
just
as
were.
concerned about art. And I think about, obviously, hindsight's always 2020, and you wonder where you would be had you gone to a different school. Because I did get a scholarship to go. I got a small scholarship to go to Cal Arts, but didn't go.
I wanted to go to SCAD, and I got
Yeah, I
accepted to
had.
SCAD, but I couldn't pay that. I couldn't pay that
Yeah.
tuition
Well, what do you
tuition fee.
think now? I mean, what do you think about it? The education of it now. One, because I know a lot of artists that they already know it's not, especially if you're on the art side of it and the creative side of it. The degree really doesn't matter. They're more looking at your portfolio. So,
Mm.
what do you think about now, because we have so many online schools that give you much more targeted animation and training? to where okay, you know you don't need to take you're trying to be an animator, so you don't need to take art history type of thing, courses.
Mhm.
You got schools like Noman, Animation Mentor, all these online places that one open it up to not only just locally, but now worldwide. You're able to connect with so many other animators that are attending it, and building those relationships that way. And then two, a lot of them are cheaper than those brick and mortar train schools that you're going to, where you're getting more generalized kind of training. It seems like you're getting more laser focused training and skills from those online schools. Or would you say that's the
Yeah,
case?
absolutely. Because I'm not trying to make any jokes. I go to art school. I don't think I
Yeah.
should have to do math. I'm sorry. I don't
We say
think
you
I should
shouldn't
have to
have
do
to do
science.
that.
Yeah, I had to take. I like math. I'm a very actually I don't like math, but I'm very good at it. That was my whole thing in high school. Gosh, I really hate math. I kept getting A's and B's. People were
Oh
asking me
man.
questions, and they're like,
Hence,
"Why are you so good at math?" I'm like, "I don't really like it."
I don't
But
either really.
I had to take math. I had to take literature. I had to take all these classes before I could actually do what I wanted to do
Wow.
at Art Institute. And
Yeah.
not to say that it wasn't needed or necessary, but once I got to the classes that I wanted to take, honestly, they were online classes. They
Mm.
were YouTube videos, they were shorts, they were tutorials. And I had to look at myself and I was like, if I'm, learning from, a computer, I'm paying $2,000 for. I could go get a more detailed education if I had known a little bit more,
Yeah. Yeah.
if that makes sense.
And I think that's where obviously you know some schools were kind of getting over on that, and I think it's harder now because you can do the research and really you know find the background on a specific school that you want to go to. More information's out there now. But for me, like I said, when I went to the Art Institute, they weren't offering computer classes or computer animation at that time. It was traditional graphic design and advertising design. And it wasn't, like I said, until that following year after I graduated that they offered a 3D animation course. So it's like everything I learned on computers was either self taught, YouTube, or learning from somebody else that knew something about computers, that type of thing. But I think now, like I said, schools are getting, kind of bloated. People are, like I said, feeling like I need a degree to get into a job, or I have to have a
Mhm.
degree to kind of get this job, is the thinking.
And then
What are your
years of
thoughts?
experience too.
Yeah, years of well, and that's always a catch 22 too when you're first starting out. How do you get experience
Yeah.
if you don't get in?
Nobody hires you.
Yeah,
They want
that
you to have
type of
five
thing.
years, 3 years of experience.
It's very hard. And we kind of talked about this a lot before the episode, before the show. Now, the industry's experiencing a hard time. A lot of creators are finding it challenging to find work and things like that. What do you How do you see this time that we're in right now as a creator, as an animator, as an illustrator?
I've seen people be very scared to actually put themselves forward. I'm also a little scared to put myself forward because we could be taken advantage of at any time, at any moment, uh, through our process of trying to get our thing made. Between studios shutting down and um, there's mergers and your work gets lost somewhere and now all files of your work is gone, but they also own copyrights of your work so you can't post it anywhere else. Shows being forever greenlit, saying that they'll produce it and they're not because they're a competitor. That show that you're about to make is a competitor for their top selling show, their most viewed show. They'll do it, almost anything they can. There's shows that are rip-offs of other shows because, oh, I'm in another country, it doesn't matter. I changed the story a little bit, it's mine now. Like,
Yeah.
people would be so afraid to be themselves and create that you wind up not even following your dreams at some point.
Well, and it's funny because oddly enough, and I don't know if you've ever watched Tubi. I love Tubi. If you guys
Mhm.
have never checked out Tubi, you should watch Tubi. And I know Tubi's a great platform for independent creators or independent filmmakers. So I know a lot of independent filmmakers that they've got their short films or films on Tubi because it's another channel, you know, to get their film out there, type of thing. But obviously, like on Tubi, I've seen a lot of like knockoffs. I guess you could say that they obviously they're just blatantly are a knockoff of some other mainstream
Yeah,
film.
if it's a knockoff or like a parody, if it's a parody, they're doing it for comedy,
Yeah.
yeah, hee hee ha ha, you can laugh at it. But when it's like you changed one thing, like people's names, but you just stole the entire story, yo, why?
Well, and now, so now, do you feel like it's imperative as creators to be more business savvy, and a little bit more business savvy? And it's funny because I had, and I don't know if you follow him, Chris Doe. I had him on early last year, or it might have been earlier this year, but he was on not too long ago. Yeah, I think he was on the beginning of this year. He was my first guest, Chris Doe, but he's a big influencer and he, puts out content to show creatives how to be better at business, get better at the business side of being a creative, whether it's talking to clients, putting contracts together, and things like that. Do you think that now in this time is even more crucial for artists and content creators to be more aware of as far as protecting their own IPs or the IPs that they want to keep hold on to? I know there's some that can sell hey, I don't have, I'm creating IPs all the time, so I don't have a problem selling this IP, but I like this IP, so I want to protect it. Do you think artists now are getting more business savvy?
Yes, they're actually gonna have to. This is gonna be a hurdle everybody's gonna have to deal with because it's sort of not safe for us anymore. You know,
Yeah.
we have to understand that not everybody has our best interest at heart. And so you are literally coming into the studio with your child or your baby, something that you care about a lot, and they're ready to tear it apart and try to make as much money, spread it, tear it apart, spread it thin, make as much money as they can, making it a hollow shell of what it used to be. And some people, can't really stomach or deal with that. If you graduated and you don't know how to balance a checkbook, you as an artist probably don't know the ins and outs of what the business may do to you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I think there is a certain portion of the school of hard knocks that a lot of artists go through for sure. Um, but like I said, I'm the type of person that basically a half glass full person, and I believe there are more good people than there are bad people out there. But obviously, as a creator going through, you want to protect your ideas and you want to be careful. They've always said be careful who you share your ideas with because, you may turn
Be that one
around.
person.
There's been a ton of instances where, somebody
Yeah.
shared their idea and the next thing you know, you saw it up on the big screen. They done run with it, type of thing. Um, for you, uh, what what's kind of the thing that you were able to pull from your experience with the artist too? I mean, I know for me, fortunately, like I said, I didn't go 4 years, so I didn't have that massive debt, but there were still experiences, you pull from it. What for you were some of the experiences that have kind of helped you that you kind of pull from your time going to the Art Institute?
I definitely made a lot of good friends, and I'm still in contact with a few of our teachers that, went above and beyond for us. Those are the and I've grown my skills. These are the fruits of labor that I can leave from a sort of barren wasteland. that
Yeah,
is artistic too. You know,
yeah,
I can still leave with something, and I can still plant those seeds somewhere else and watch them grow.
yeah,
That's what I'll take away from artistic too.
yeah. So how are you kind of pushing and expanding on the skills that you've learned? I mean, obviously you started, with this or that at the Art Institute, but we as creators always know it's the other work, it's our personal work that really pushes us even further in what we do. What are some of the other tools that you've kind of learned, dived into, that you're excited about, that you've seen coming down the pipe? Like I said, you're in animation, obviously.
Mhm.
For you, Maya's industry standard type of thing. But I'm a Blender user. I love how Blender is really growing. The
Blender
base
sounds
is
cool.
really growing.
Blender is amazing.
It is. It's an amazing software. I love it. But what do you think of the tools now that are starting to come out for creators?
The tools are actually starting to be more for creators because I don't think Adobe realized people were using Photoshop to draw. And so now there is an app specifically for drawing that Adobe has. Then what else? Clip Studio, Procreate, Sketchpad, all these different, oh, these are tools that artists can use.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love
Sometimes
Krita.
you get a
Have you
subscription.
played with Krita?
No, I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
You should look it up. That's another, and it's free. It's an
That sounds
amazing.
like
It's,
an artist dream. Yes,
it
free.
is.
What?
It's an amazing software. It really is, and it's an artist. It's an artist software. I think they have much better natural brushes than Photoshop does for natural
Ooh,
painting and just um, art brushes. Yeah, Photoshop is good, and obviously you can create brushes in Photoshop. And I want to touch on too, because we talked about, like I said, the software and things like that. But I also like to talk about um, kind of branding and brands in general, because again, you mentioned Adobe, and they have a big
mm,
market share on the creative space, but
yes,
you
they
have
do.
these small softwares now that, and people are kind of tired of paying subscription and
Right.
and tired of how, and like I said, companies are really more trying to just keep perpetual money coming out of you, type of thing. So you're seeing this space where you have companies like Blender, like Affinity, like DaVinci Resolve. If you're a editor, you have these companies that are giving that, like I said, are really thinking kind of creator first. I mean, really looking after the creator and in this space of feeling that, okay, people are tired of one time payments. They it, they pay. They'd rather pay for updates type of thing. I remember those days of paying for updates. Or I'll skip this version and buy the next version type of thing. Now you're
Yeah.
locked
A new
into.
new thing came out. Spend more
Yeah.
money.
I mean, now you're locked into subscriptions and softwares that may be bloated and hard to use and this and that. Um, do you feel like there's this kind of space that, like I said, these little smaller softwares and companies and apps are really starting to grow? Like I said, Procreate is really,
Mhm.
they started like a really small niche, and now they've really grown as a artist tool, especially for the iPad. If your thing is drawing on the go, I think most artists, from what I hear, use Procreate. For the
Mhm.
most part. Um, do you see that that's what's happening? A lot of companies now are kind of trying to really fill this space for creators.
Yes, because if you fill a space for creators and that's all that they want to do, they're going to use your stuff 24/7. They're going to spend that money to get those new brushes, that new file that they want to open, the new program that they get to test use. But a lot of I guess bias or yeah, I would say customer bias comes from, oh, I've used this um, program a lot and I feel comfortable with this program, so I'm going to keep using this program. Um, Going and attending the Art Institute, that's all they had was Adobe, Adobe
Yeah,
this, Adobe that, Toon Boom, and these expensive product, expensive, not for the school, but that's all the school had. There was
yeah,
no Clip Studio, there was no Procreate at the time, and
yeah,
so let's say you didn't have none of this stuff at your house, you would need to go to school, stay at school, or even pay for a subscription out of pocket. They do have some student options, but it's still like I don't know. It's in your face, and this is all you have. This is the best option.
yeah,
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't
yeah.
you choose this? Right?
Which I get, but it's really hard for the independent. I can see a studio, Maya, Adobe. It fits the studio, environment.
Mhm.
But for the independent creator, it's very hard to justify, especially like I said, monthly subscription or yearly subscription, paying that much. It puts a lot more pressure on you as being able to afford that software. That is kind of industry
That's because that's
standard.
how you work, right?
Yeah, it's industry standard, but if you're doing your own kind of stuff, does does the software like Blender fill that space where you can still do? They may not do like well because I've
Basically,
seen
it's
great
like
work.
it's
I've seen
industry
great work,
standard.
so it's hard to say they can't do feature film stuff because I've seen the films that they put out, and if somebody had the
Mhm.
money, now they could probably use it. Now, I guess there you would think, from what I hear, it's more production pipeline or implementing it into an already production pipeline. If your whole pipeline, I guess, is like centered around Blender, then I would guess it would
Mhm.
be very easy to make a feature length film entirely done in Blender. Like I said, the shorts that they put out, they're amazingly great quality shorts. I'm pretty sure it's not that Blender doesn't have the capabilities of doing it. It's is it production proven as far as being able to handle the whole heavy production lifting that is required of a film, full length film,
Mhm.
like Maya obviously has proven to do, or Houdini has proven to do. You know,
Toon
they're
Boom.
proof. Yeah, Toon Boom or all the ones that are industry standards have proven they've been able to stand up in a pipeline and hold their weight in a pipeline production type of thing. I don't think I think Blender is really starting to get there now, and it's gaining more and more traction now with it, and it's just growing. Um, but I think it's hard for the independent creator, or the solopreneur to, justify paying subscriptions for all of this stuff. Maya, if you're not doing film work or if you're just freelancing, Maya and all the other stuff. I don't know. It's I guess that's what I ask creators. I know working in a studio, obviously you got to use the studio tools, and if their pipeline is Maya, you got to be familiar with it. But I'm talking as far as creating your own stuff. Are there certain types? What were the types of animations and things that you enjoyed watching? You said you kind of grew up on Disney, but
Mhm.
as you've gone through your career, where does your kind of style of things that you enjoy watching now, and the animations that you enjoy watching now, kind of fall?
Uh, Real. I'm gonna say real stylized. So Studio Ghibli is one, and also Studio Mir. Studio Mir has done Legend of Korra and also Dota. What else? Vox Machina. That's a great show. I love the animation in that one. Invincible. Uh, what else? What else? Oh my gosh. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Since I already talked about Korra,
Yeah,
these shows have a very unique style that I feel like that's if I were to make a show, that's what I would want it to look like.
yeah,
And then something pretty like Princess Mononoke, something something gorgeous or a lovely story like what was that movie?
Have you
Was
seen
it
Blue Eyed
Your
Samurai?
Lie in April? I have not seen Blue Eye Samurai yet,
That's
but
nice.
I want to.
Yeah, it's really
Even
done
even
well.
Arcane,
Okay,
Arcane was
yeah,
just gorgeous.
yeah.
Like
I mean,
I've never played League of Legends. Well, I played League of Legends before, but I never would have thought that this world and League of Legends were like related or the same.
yeah, yeah. Which brings me to, and I'm going to do a post about this because I saw it, a post, and I was just like totally, I guess, thrown aback. Evidently, they're doing a Incredibles live version, you
Hmm.
know, which, and I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to, for all y'all, like I said, I came across the post, and I just thought it was like, really? But,
I just hope they don't get bullied like the Powerpuff
well,
Girls live action.
I will say this. I will say this. I think the actors that they picked or that they showed that were playing were pretty spot on. I thought it was good.
Mhm.
They were pretty spot on. But I was just like, I'm, I, I don't know. Is it just me that's just so tired of just this perpetual spitting out of sequels of things and regurgitation of things? Do you feel like studios are just, especially the big ones, are just really hesitant about taking a chance on the more creative
Something new.
stories, something new, the more creative stories that obviously are out there and that creators and writers and people are doing, but it's very hard to get greenlit. In most
Mhm.
studios, it seems are really comfortable with just spitting out the same type of stuff.
Yeah. Why trust in something new when we already got a money printer in the back? You know what I mean? We already got an IP that kids love, that adults love, and we have merchandise. We got birthday party stuff. We got toys. It's all getting bought. Why do something new? You know what I mean? Let's
Yeah,
just let's just redo it. Let's reintroduce it to everybody. Maybe they'll fall in love with it. Maybe they won't. But what they will do if they don't fall in love with it, they'll be like, I like the old thing. They're gonna, and then the old thing is gonna get all the views. Like the original series of anything. Oh yeah, let's bring that back. Let's make a movie with just these specific characters. When you get a certain IP that you can just redo over and over again, literally the world is your limit. You can do video games. You can
yeah.
do music from the show.
And
It's
and
it's
I get it.
like I
Like
said,
I
a money
said,
printer.
well, and I get it in some respects because there are some characters that obviously have a deep story arc that you can explore, and
Mhm.
really, see where it takes you. But then there are some obvious ones that are like, okay, I think I'm done after, Furious 5 or 8. I think I'm done with that series type of thing.
Yeah.
Let's
Like which
there's
reboot is this?
or a reboot that, like I said, especially if it doesn't, I guess, play out or be respectful, I guess, to the characters of it. You could tell.
Mhm.
But do you think like the change or that kind of resurgence in original content is going to come from the smaller creator or those smaller studios that are able to take that chance or willing to take that chance on those more creative stories and characters and things like that? Do you think that's where it's going to really come from, or we're really going to start to see a big difference in more diversity, more different stories, more different characters, and things like that?
Yes, the more diverse I would say the story is to the people, oh, you're definitely going to have a lot of folks that can resonate with it. But then will the company resonate with it? Will the company look at your ambition as a number and say, well, it's not high enough or it's not low enough? You know what I mean?
Mm, yeah, yeah. And again, everybody just jumping in. We've been having an amazing conversation. Mr. Dwayne, I appreciate you stopping by. Good Saturday to you, Don, and welcome, Douglas. Appreciate Dwayne always supporting the show. Everybody, again, as you're just tuning in, we've been having an amazing conversation with my friend Douglas Sweeper, animator and illustrator. talking about a lot. We talked a little before the show. Actually, talked a lot about this before the show. Just this surgence of AI now, and how AI is kind of touching a lot of industries and a lot of space, but more specifically, this creative space that we're in, generative AI. Like I said, I'm keeping an eye out on video generative AI and just what's coming out. What are your thoughts on just this AI time that we live in?
Okay, so my first impression with AI was that it was used to plagiarize other people's work. So it left a little bad taste in my mouth. So I was like, AI is bad. That's what I initially thought. And then I saw AI being used to help people get their creative ideas out there. Because you think you have an image in your head and you draw it out as many times as you can, and it doesn't work out. AI can probably fix that for you. That's when I started to think, oh, AI could be, used for good. Then I started to see AI can create videos, and I was like, I'm about to be out of a job. Because I was like, if AI can start animating, I was like, it's raps. It's raps for me.
Oh man, like I said, I've seen some. I don't think it's quite there yet as far as
It's not,
replacing.
it's probably not
It's
quite there yet,
yeah, it's
but
not there
if you were
yet.
to go to a
Um,
studio and the studio just be like, I just need this scene done, that studio is not gonna
No,
go
but I
for
think
someone
for
like
like
me.
little quick little snippets or little bits and pieces, and that's why I say I think AI is great for filling those little gaps or iterating or like kind of those small behind the scenes type of things that you're not going to notice that you're implementing or integrating into that you're integrating that into a larger thing that you're working on, and it's just a small
Mhm.
piece of what you're doing. I think it works great for that. I don't think it's at that point where it's going to make a whole. Trust me, I've seen people post, oh, this is a whole, and I was watching one the other day. It was all done in AI, and you can easily tell because it just was,
Mhm.
it was crap. I mean, I've seen some good ones, but this one was really, I don't think was the quality of it wasn't really great, but it was more, I think, the story of it. But and I don't know if they wanted to just show that it was all done in AI, but I don't think that that's ever gonna, do well. An all AI movie or anything like that. And that's just me. But I think as far as
Maybe,
elements,
yeah, maybe
with the
sometime in the future it can help a independent artist literally create the
oh
exact
well, yeah,
thing that they want to within
I
within
think
the, let's say, a span of a year.
yeah.
They can create a movie if they just use AI as that sort of tool. If AI is going to be your helper, that's fine. If you don't
No.
want to work with anybody else, you just maybe AI can help me do this. That's fine.
But I don't think. But one thing I don't think AI is going to be able to do is teach them how to tell a story or teach them to make. They're still going to need to know. Okay, what makes a good story? Is this story good? What what camera angle is the best camera angle? Now, a
Mhm.
good AI. What I have learned about AI is it really does all come down to the prompts. What
Mhm.
how good your prompt is really going to determine how good what comes out of it is. And so just an average person that doesn't know filmmaking, that doesn't know cinematography, that doesn't know angle or anything, like doesn't know the principles of the skills of what it takes to make an actual thing, aren't going to be able to sit down and prompt that in unless they're thinking about, oh, I want a camera with a 35 millimeter lens that gives me this and gives me this. I want it shot, at that thing. I don't think it teaches skill or
Mhm.
craft. I think it's a tool
And
that can help you, but you still got to learn the craft of and the principles of what you're doing.
it's actually going to be the lack of it. If people rely on AI a little bit too much
Yeah,
and they start cutting corners,
yeah.
definitely the quality in work will suffer. And I don't think anybody's going to notice it right off the bat, but then they'll start to be like, this was made by a person. Oh, this is completely different from what I've been seeing recently. And then maybe there'll be a resurgence for like
Yeah.
traditional.
Well, I think a true professional, like I said, somebody that's versed in the skill will notice it and pick it up. Because I was watching, um, uh, he did a video, Aaron Blaze, and I don't know if you know who Aaron Blaze is, but he's a former animator with Disney. He did
Mhm.
Brother Bear and has worked on a lot of the
Oh, that
Disney
was one of
stuff.
my.
But he
I did like that
does
movie.
he posts a lot of like animation tutorials and drawing. He has a lot of drawing and art classes on his channel. But he did a review because there was a studio. Oh man, I forget the channel's name, but they're a studio of visual effects artists and animators, and they wanted to see if they could create uh, uh, um, anime style animation using AI. And so, you know, they did this animated short. They still shot the footage, live shot the footage, but they ran it through AI to make it look like a toon style, 2D style animation. So they just wanted to see if they could do that. Even though, like I said, they still shot all the scenes live and everything like that. And it gave out a decent, you know, decent, I guess, thing, passable to the average person. But Aaron did a review of it because, they posted it saying, "Can we make a animated film with AI?" We did this
I
test,
think I saw something like that
and
too.
so I think the the company or the YouTube channel is called Corridor Crew, and they're a bunch of, like I said, VFX guys. But he did a response video to their video showing their result, and he was talking about, should I be, as a 2D animator, be afraid of AI, or that was kind of the title of his video, is it too? But his thing was he's not, because he could pick out all the little subtleties of the movement as he was watching it that AI was doing. That just a natural animator. And that's why I said I don't think it'll ever fully replace the human experience and the human touch that a person can bring. I think AI gets you, 90%, 80, 90% of the way there and can. Um, but I think there's still a certain amount of skill and talent that you need as a creator to take it the rest of the way, or use it in a way that is like I said, makes it uniquely yours, type of thing. My whole rub initially with AI, when it, especially like generative AI, when it came out, was you had all these non-artists now all of a sudden saying they were artists when they were just typing in something. I'm like, no, it doesn't make you an
Yeah,
artist. It's
that kind of
just,
bothered me too.
and I think that
Because
rubbed initially a lot of people the wrong way, and then it moved into AI started scraping people's artwork and pulling, when that started coming out, how AI was starting to learn, generative AI was learning how to do this. Then that's when it moved into, okay, it's taking people's styles and artwork and mesh mashing other already artwork pieces and that type of stuff. But I think for me, it was more, you had these non-artists. It was kind of almost an insult to the years that I spent paying to learn this
right.
skill and doing it. I think that was the thing for me. Um,
Mm.
but I'm excited about, and we were talked about this. I'm excited about what AI, what creators, true creators and artists and content creators will create with AI, because it's a tool like the computer, like Maya, you know, like any other software or hardware is a tool. I'm excited to see what creators will create with it, you know.
Me too.
Um,
Hopefully, it's not going to be um, too terrible.
no, I mean, I think, like, I think the nature of creators is they find interesting ways of using a tool a different
Yeah.
way. Like what we were talking about, I think when Unreal obviously first came out, they were a game engine. They only focused on game, they were just doing gaming. But it wasn't until somebody that was a filmmaker say, oh, okay, you can do real time stuff in this, and figured out how they can project it and get a real time environment for the actors to interact. It wasn't until Unreal got in the hands of a different type of creator that it opened up this new way of, oh wow, I didn't think you could use Unreal for this. And so now you got filmmakers that are using Unreal for creating worlds for their actors to act in, easier things. So that's why I think technology. And who was it that said that? I think it was the guy that did Toy Story, directed Toy Story. Um, he said technology pushes art and art pushes technology. I think they kind of push each other, you know, and then they make each other better and they stretch each other's thought process about what you can do and what you could create with a tool that may have not been initially created for that purpose, but somebody thought out of the box differently with how they could use it and come up with this
I,
totally expansive thing.
I just don't want people to rely on AI a little bit too much because when you rely on it too much, yeah, it's a tool, but when you start relying on that tool, like I keep saying, too much, you won't need to do it the original way anymore. You'll probably start to lose a little bit of muscle memory from doing a certain motion that you're just telling AI, fix this. Or you'll probably forget how to draw hands because you're just, oh, hands are hard to draw. So I
Yeah.
want my AI to just do my hands for me. And then now you literally, let's say 2 years down the line, you can't draw hands anymore.
Yeah. And that's a hard like line to walk with technology because it's
Mhm.
it's
It's
like
easy now.
it's
I don't have
easy
to work
now.
too hard no
I don't
more.
I don't have
I
to
can set it and forget it.
I don't have to remember a phone number because I have it in my contacts. It's very easy to depend on the technology, and obviously, like I said, you as the individual has to uh, take that effort to kind of keep yourself grounded. But it's hard to say for those ones now that are coming up that are being born in this world moving forward because they're born into this technology. That's all they know. This is all
Yeah,
they
that's what I
see.
meant by
You
I
know,
hope it's not going to be too terrible because literally they would grow up not knowing, oh, I had to draw hands at some point. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
It won't be too terrible as in I don't want it to be an issue
yeah.
in the future. Like
Well,
shortcuts, these will be just nothing but shortcuts,
yeah,
and then
and
they learn nothing.
yeah. They don't learn the actual principles of doing it. I get what you're saying. The underlying principle, which is why I say I don't think AI will ever take that away because you still have to understand the underlying principles of animation, drawing, design, composition, all that stuff that I don't think AI is going to teach you. You could probably put it in, but if you don't understand it, understand why this composition looks better than this composition, or why this should have more negative space than that. You don't understand the balance of all of that. I think that makes it harder um, for those ones that have spent the time to learn that. I think that, at least for me, that was the rub. You had people that were just, like I said, calling themselves artists, and they were
Yeah,
just,
I
like I
can.
said, writing a paragraph, and usually not a very good paragraph because, like I said, as I've used and gotten to know AI, like I said, it really does come down to the prompt, how
Mhm.
specific you are about putting in, what you want to get out. Really, does a lot to do. Has a lot to do with it. You know.
And I have encountered one person online who swears by AI, and a regular artist could never help me achieve my dreams the way this AI can make exactly what I want from my dreams and my nightmares. And I had to take it, with a grain of salt because this person probably has gone through something that, oh, nobody can really help me with this. But now I'm putting everything into this and I'm getting exactly what I want. You know, Congratulations to you. But don't be like, oh, I made this myself and it's better than anything any regular artist could ever create. It's just like you're spitting in our faces now. Like you, this part of AI probably wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for the people who already did or laid out the groundwork.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and my thing is, like I said, the one, and even the ones that I've seen that are even relatively good at AI, generative AI art, they've, you know, they're artists that are experimenting with AI, and so they know what to put in. I would love
Yeah,
to
use
see
it
what
as
his,
reference.
yeah, and use it as reference, or even if it's like I said, the kind of end result, it's their artwork that they're, using as reference. It's their sketches that they're using as reference. They're not training it off of or using reference from anybody else to kind of get a style. But I would be curious to see what his prompts are. If he's getting exactly what he wants out of AI, I would be really interested in seeing what his prompts, you know, are. And most people,
Yeah.
they just put in, they're not really descriptive, which is why they get like, you know, a human with four fingers, and when they don't really, it takes them a while. Like I said, you have to be really good at prompts in order to not continuously have to kind of reprompt it. I'm wondering how many times he runs it through his prompter before he finally gets out what he wants. You know,
Yeah, because you could probably sit there
yeah,
for
you can sit there for
days,
forever.
honestly.
And obviously, because they sell credits, Adobe, you have to pay for credits. They give you so many credits, you're going to go through so many prompts, you know. And for
Mm.
the average person, and especially if you're doing like client work and you're using AI as prompting, you're going to go through a lot if you have a lot of clients, or just it takes you a while because you're not going to get out right away something that's usable. You have to go through this certain amount of iterations and back and forth with AI to get something that you're happy with. Unless you're just not an artist and you just take
You just
out
want
whatever.
something,
Yeah, you just want
yeah,
something and you call it art. Okay, this is art. This is the
clear
best
cut
thing.
and dry. It
This
checks
is the
off
best.
all these boxes. That's it. Yep.
uh,
Yes.
but again, like I said, I have this for the most part love for AI. I don't have as genuine kind of a dislike for it as I did when it initially came out. And that was my only
Same.
thing about when it initially came out. It wasn't so much, that I felt like it was going to take my job or anything like that. It was just you had people that were just calling themselves artists now because, like I said, they could type in a paragraph. They call themselves an artist. Oh, this is my artwork. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know.
Like things that it would probably take us maybe days or weeks to
Yeah,
paint and just done in like 30 seconds.
but I do think like it's probably is gonna kind of fill a space as far as there are some things that may have like an AI artist or something like that, but I don't think it's going to be completely that way because at some point he's going to need to be able to draw or illustrate outside of AI, or do
Yeah.
something
Take out the
outside of
training
AI.
wheels.
Yeah, that type of thing. If you're solely dependent on AI and can't pick up a pencil and express your thoughts or ideas, then yeah, that's when you're going to find out you have a problem. Then you're not an artist. You're just a pixel pusher, or a typer. Not even a pixel pusher. You're a typer, and can't type and can't create something without a prompt type of thing. So I don't know. Like I said, it's you find it
To each
on,
their own.
yeah, teach their own. You find them on, you how to have a love hate relationship with it. My thought is it's something that's not going away. So as a creative,
Mm.
my thought is how can I use this in my day to day things or in my things that I create? How could I use it? Like you said, iterating on an idea for a client, it'd be much faster if I created idea and then drop it into AI. Hey, AI, spit me out a couple of more versions and let me know, and use
Yeah,
that
use
as a
it as
sounding,
reference.
yeah, use it as a sounding board or reference type of thing. So that's what I think AI fits. It's an iterative tool, or it's a tool that makes some tasks, some tedious tasks, easier. You know,
Mhm.
you know, heck, auto selection in Photoshop. That's an AI tool, Sensei. And I
Yeah, it
would much
finds
rather
everything
use
that's.
I would much rather use that than hand select something. And I'm pretty sure most rotoscope artists would much rather use their the rotoscope tools AI to get them half pretty much most of the way there, as opposed to manually rotoscoping each frame. So that's where AI is great, because it does a lot of the heavy lifting that you don't have to spend so much time as a creative. You could be more creative because it takes those more menial tasks off your plate. You could spend
Mm.
more time being creative and iterating on things, as opposed to, okay, I got to spend an hour rotoscoping each frame when I could just click a button and have Premiere or whatever app use their automatic sensing tool to select the object and get me pretty much the way there. I may have to clean up some frames. So that's what I mean when I think AI fills a space, you know, in the
Yeah,
pipeline or in the toolbox of a creator, you know.
like yeah, there's some cracks and holes in the ground. It could be um, it could fill those holes, definitely. It can fill the cracks, make sure that everything's sound. But some people can also be like, "Oh, this is a mess." You know what I mean? This shouldn't be here. And sometimes they may even remove it altogether, and there's still a hole that needs to be filled.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. NK, I don't know, maybe a miss, but NK Nasir, hey, appreciate you stopping by the show. Will AI gonna replace graphic designers? And like I said, you really should go back and listen, because we talked a little bit about this. My personal thought is, I don't think AI. This is my personal thought. Everybody's different. I don't think AI will ever replace the human touch or experience. That's just my thought. Now, obviously, there are some positions that it may make obsolete, and that person's going to need to, just like anybody, is going to need to pivot or figure out how I can expand my skill set, to make myself more valuable. I think that, like I said,
Mm.
if your skill set is in a kind of tedious or menial kind of, I won't say menial, but kind of a tedious task, then AI, yeah, obviously could come in. Like if you're, like, say you were a colorist in the days of Disney, which obviously was the case when computers came out. There was no need for painters, and because they weren't doing that much. So, as a painter, or as a cell painter, or a hand drawn animator, obviously they had to kind of figure out and make that shift of, when they saw art was moving digitally, they either had to figure it out and get, or they would get left behind. It's just, again, the nature, I feel, of technology. You got to figure out how to use it to your advantage, and to figure out how to use it that is going to help me in my life. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind. Just like people that don't know how to use a computer now, you get by, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to get left behind, because 99% of the world runs a computer,
It's
whether it's
gonna
your
be online.
banking, whether it's your phone app. You just have to learn new technology as it comes in. And we were talking about this, before the show. I feel like there's always that kind of painful step
Mm.
that we as humans take from old to new. That's just something that we're used to something that we just hadn't been used to before, but have to figure out, because it's just something that's not going away. Like people
Yeah, I
that were
feel like
right.
it's really like tearing apart the quick, easy, and cheap part. of the industry. Quick, easy, cheap. Literally, AI took that by storm, landslide. But, you know, more quality work does come from, a person, someone who can tailor make your ideas and make sure that it is a good quality. But yeah.
Well, I mean, time will tell. Obviously, like I said, this is a genie that's not going back in the bottle. So, uh, you're not putting this genie back in the bottle, just like you weren't putting the genie of automobiles back in the bottle. Once people realized that they could create an automobile and not have to ride a horse in a carriage, it changed everything. Once
Mhm.
we realized that, hey, there's electricity and we can harness this and not be in the dark or have to use kerosene lamps or candles, it changed everything. So there's this weird step that you have to take as humans moving forward into just new things that come out and figuring
New
out,
territory.
okay, yeah, just new technology, new territory that you have to figure out, how do I use this, or how is this going to impact my everyday life, and how can I use it to make my everyday life a little bit better or a little bit easier. So that's where I think, I think that little interesting step of what comes out of tech AI and generative AI, like we were saying, it's still early on. It's still kind of the Wild West territory. Uh, Mr. Nasir, okay, I am new in this field, so I can use all tools, but I don't know how to get the concept of design. Is it just experience? I'll let you answer that. Let me,
Me, okay. All
yeah, let
right, no
me
problem.
make
Let's
sure this is up
see.
here. Again, I am new. Let me put this up here this year because I want to make sure we answer this for you. I am new in this field, so I can use all tools, but I don't know how to get the concept of design. Is it just experience?
With you being new and with you being able to use all tools, you can use all tools, but have you learned everything about that tool? With the concept of design, that should really come from your own sort of vision for your project, for what you want, and only you can really just tell yourself, okay, I do like this, or no, I don't like this. I can redo it, or I can change just a little bit more things just so that the client is happy. That's going to come from you and not the tools. So it's a mix of both.
Well, and I definitely, just by a little bit to add to that this year, I definitely feel like, you know, you should get, you know, training, schooling, because there are frameworks of design. If you're talking about design, different frameworks that you should be. And there's training out there, you know, but it's something that you have to invest in, learn, and that's why I say, AI is just not going to give that to you, or a tool, like I said, is not going to kind of give that to you. That's something that you're going to have to learn. It may be able to do it, but learning it from somebody else, like I wouldn't have known about like the rule of thirds. I wouldn't know to ask AI to keep that into consideration of balance and composition. So that's why I say there are principles that you need to learn. Principles in animation, squash and stretch, timing, all that stuff are principles that any animator, whether they're traditional animators, whether they're computer and 3D animators, there's principles that they need to know and will tell you that it translates across it all. Just like there are principles and concepts of design that translate from the pencil and paper to the computer. It doesn't matter. The principles don't change. The tools do. That's all I'll say. So learn the principles of whatever it is that you're doing. Learn the principles of animation if you're an animator. Learn the principles of filmmaking if you're a filmmaker. Learn the principles of design if you're a graphic designer. There are principles to every discipline, and it's up to you to learn it. The tools will change, the principles won't.
and make sure your tools aren't, your crutches. You should be fine without your tools,
Yeah.
honestly.
And that's where the principles come in. That's where the principles,
Mhm.
because you can go to any tool. An animator can go to any animation tool. They may have to learn where things are at, but they know how to animate in Maya, in Blender, in they know how to animate. Doesn't matter
Yeah,
what software you
you
put
should
them
never.
down in,
Yeah,
because
you
they
shouldn't have
know
to
the
ask
principle.
yourself, "Am I
Yeah,
good without the tool?"
yeah. So, and I think that's where learning your craft, really, getting a skill at that craft comes in. That you won't question that I have to learn this tool to know it. I can sit down in front of anything, any tool, and practice what I do and animate. I can sit down in front of a stack of papers. If I'm an animator, I should be able to sit down and understand the principles of just drawing stick figures and seeing how they move across the page and timing, and understand that doesn't matter. It's the principle of that animation and what makes an animation. And I hope you're getting that, Nathir, but there's a lot of, like I said, resources out there. You live at a great time where you can go online, which YouTube's a great university um, to learn things. But again, I think there are basic principles to everything that's what you build the foundation of. That's where the foundation of everything else you put on top of it, comes from. You for you, what's been the best piece of advice that somebody has given you
Hmm.
that you come back to again and again, and you hear in your head, and it's like, okay, that really helps.
Be true. So it's sort of cliche, but definitely be true to yourself. Don't try to settle for anything less from what your original vision would have been, because you probably regret it. Because,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I made this shortcut, or oh, I changed up my idea to get further ahead, and now I'm like 3 steps back. And then you're gonna start, being negative on yourself because of something you did, but it's something you didn't know about. So be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. Don't call yourself lazy. You have the right to be tired. You're working. You're trying to make this stuff happen. Be true to yourself. Be kind to yourself, and try to stay consistent. Because the moment you stop, you probably won't have the discipline to come back to it. Keep at it.
Yep. Yep.
That's something that I remember. That's something I learned.
Okay, and on that, people, how I we drop a bomb on nuggets that are dropped, and that was a nugget. Be true to yourself for sure. Uh, like I said, uh, we've been having, like I said, this has been going. This talk has been going for a good little minute here. We were going into an hour and a half here, actually 2 hours, because like I said, Douglas and I were talking for about an hour before the show. So definitely coming into 2.5 hours here, just talking for sure. Uh, where do you kind of want to see yourself in, say, in what you're working on in, say, 3 to 5 years? What are the type of things that you hope that you're doing, want to be doing, see yourself at in this industry, in this space?
I've looked a lot at ages, honestly, and I've noticed that a lot of people in my field haven't gotten their like first real job or first, full-time gig well into their 30s and 40s. So I gave myself a sort of, timed plan. Like I want to make sure that the comic I want to produce is well into its maybe third or fourth year. That way it can gain a little bit of traction. Maybe it can get some eyes on it, and maybe it can be adapted into an animated series. But that's more of a long-term goal. Short
Yeah,
term, like you said, 4 or 5 years. Hopefully, I've gotten my comic off the ground.
yeah, yeah. And how do you, like I said, keep yourself kind of motivated and encouraged especially in this kind of time where, like I said, it's challenging for artists and it's
Mm.
challenging. How are you keeping yourself kind of uplifted, encouraged that okay, this I can get through this?
I am sort of making sure that I don't have too much stress or anxiety going on. I'm definitely taking breaks. I am eating uh, well. I am getting enough rest, and then my brain can function properly. Uh, Things that have gotten me through these certain times. I've made promises to myself, and then I'm making sure that I'm keeping them. Like even though I'm not drawing, I'm still writing paragraphs worth of stories that I can do. I'm still jotting down ideas that I want to make sure I don't forget. I'm saving songs and music that have inspired me to do a certain scene or a certain animation. These things have been keeping me going.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like it's because I do? I find it very crucial to have this circle of creatives around me that help keep
Mhm.
me going as well. Is that something else that you work really hard to foster? This kind of infrastructure of people around you that kind of understand the things that you're going through and the things that you're dealing with.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we're all in the same boat. So we can sort of come together. We come together, we talk about our ideas, and then we go to our 9 to 5s, and then we say, "Yeah, work really, beat us up or kicked our butts." So I can't wait for to finally go home and sleep.
Oh man. Well, how do you? Okay,
But
and I guess that's the challenge that everybody or every creative is going to find, especially those ones that go back to the corporate world, so to speak, a 9 to 5.
mm,
Because I'm doing it myself. I have a 9 to 5. Having that energy and that drive to put into your other stuff, your own personal stuff. Um, to do it. How do you, like I said, how do you kind of motivate yourself to because it's more energy that you have to muster for your own kind of work outside of your 9 to 5 job.
it's sort of terrifying, my philosophy on it, but I can share with you. Basically, if I'm not going to do it, nobody's going to do it. And that's the most real thing that anybody has honestly told me. If I were to not be here anymore, no one's going to make my story for me. No one's going to write the character development for
Yeah,
my characters. No one's going to draw up the scenery that I want to show people. No one's going to understand the story that I want to tell. So I'm going to have to do it myself.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's that's as clear cut and dry as it can be. You can trust other people to help you do that, but if you're not there, do you trust them to do exactly what you want them to do?
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
trust them to not take it a step further or change it so that it makes more sense to them? You know,
yeah, yeah. And that was, and
you got
that's,
to do it.
yeah, you got to do it. And that kind of goes into even just getting a studio to buy into your work or your project. They want to see that you're doing it even without them, and you're putting something together, and making it happen even without them. Because nobody,
Mm.
like you said, nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to, you know, get that story out there, that movie out there, that animation, that piece of artwork out there. Um,
Oh,
uh,
and I will say, even if somebody does do it for you, let's say you're a writer and you need,
mm,
you want your movie to be produced, or you want your play to be, you want your screenplay to be produced, your groundwork needs to be sound. Even if somebody makes like 2 or 3 changes, like setting or location or somebody's name, it can still be your story.
yeah,
But that groundwork needs to be solid to the point where even if they changed it a little bit, it's still a great story. It's still amazing,
yeah,
and you did that, and you can be proud of that.
yeah, yeah. And they're going to want to see that you're invested in it and that you're willing to put the work behind it. Even if, like I said, you're a writer and you need an animator, animator's not gonna animate if he doesn't see you're excited about the project and ready to put your all into the project as a writer. to see the
Mhm.
characters. So, how do you buy? How do you get others, which I've always find fascinating, and I guess is at the crux of it. How do you get others to buy into your idea? You know, they really buy onto your idea and jump on board. I think is especially if you're doing your own thing. you know,
Mhm.
it's even higher, obviously, at a more corporate level. But if you're an independent creator, how do you inspire others to jump on board a project, and they're gonna get enthused only by your enthusiasm for their projects. If they don't see that you're enthusiastic about your own project, it's hard to get people to buy on to your vision. You know, even if you
Yeah,
pay them, I don't know, they might do
yeah.
it for a little while if you pay them, but you know,
You can cut you got to really figure out how you can connect with that person or even group of people. You can have a story and you can even share stories. Oh, I like that about your story, and I like the energy that you're telling about that story. And then let's say another person comes in and they tell you their story as well, and you're just like, God, I want to see that. I have to see exactly what you're describing to me. I want to see, and that's how you get people hooked. With other corporations or businesses, you would have to take a little bit more of a financial approach. Like, I can tell you my hopes and dreams, and then also you can use it endlessly. I have an IP that you can do over and over again. I have things that kids would enjoy, and that's going to be toys. There's going to be things that can be put on cereal boxes. The revenue can be there, and that's
yeah,
how you can get. Yeah.
you definitely have that. You have to approach it from a corporate kind of point of view, or think about it
Mhm.
from, dollars and
But you can
cents.
also, yeah, you can also connect with other people's hearts. Let's say your story is representing a different culture that doesn't have that much visibility,
Yeah,
or let's say a story that probably has never been told, but can really help somebody else if they even knew somebody, even remotely went through something similar to what they've gone through. Then you can, not to say pull on their heartstrings, but that way you can connect with them.
yeah,
They can understand what your vision is, and then they can help you, or they can also invest in that as well.
yeah. And that's like I said, you getting behind and being passionate about your own story, which is kind of what I liked about. I don't know if they well, I think they still probably do it. Pixar would, like I said, they'd always open up to their internal people the opportunity to pitch their own idea and
Oh, like the
pitch their
the
own
mini
short.
shorts.
Yeah, those mini shorts. They
Yeah.
always gave their employees, hey, if you have an idea, pitch it. But of course, they're going to want to see how passionate you are about the story and the characters. And when you pitch it, are you acting out the characters and really passionate about your idea? I think that's how you get people on board. Okay, he's passionate. I see the story. He's really passionate. I get the characters. Let's get behind this. And I can, I like the project. I've been approached a number of times, by independent creators that are working on their own project. Oh, I need a artist, or I need an animator, or this and that, and they're not they don't have the funds to pay you, but is it an interesting project to where, okay, I like the project and I think he's passionate enough to where I see he'll finish the project,
Mm.
and not just, start something and not finish it. It'd be worth it. So that's what I mean. If you're not paying somebody, how do you, excite them, enough to where they give of their skill and their talent willingly? They may be your friend. Like, if you're a director, you may not be an editor. I have a friend, he likes editing. Hey, approaching him and saying, I'm working on this project, what do you think of it? Would you mind helping me out with the editing? Or, he likes the idea. Yeah, I like the story and what you're doing. And I can see you're trying to take this as far as you can and make it possibly a big movie deal. I can give him my editing skills, or help you out to do it. So, there are those things. I think that's where building a community and relationships, they pay off. You know, uh, I guess this is it's a big community, but everybody seems to know one another and kind of have worked with one another. And that's where working on your own project, you can think of people that you can reach out to help you see your idea come to fruition. Because you're not going to be able to fill every space. Like if I was an animator, I'm not a producer per se, but who do I know that has done production work, on an animation that could at least help me out with the production pipeline side of it. So that's where I feel like the color of motion. I try to make friendships with people that are in just different areas because of the opportunity to work together, help each other out, learn from one another. Because again, you know, you're not going to be able to do everything, at least not in a timely manner. You may be able to animate a film.
Not yet.
You may be able to read a film, but it may take you a couple of years to do it yourself. And, if you're not a
Or you
sound
can
editor or a sound
you can
designer,
animate it.
you know,
It's not painted. Or you can animate it and there's no sound.
there's no sound. So that's what I mean. Nothing is ever, unless you're like really good and disciplined at a lot of the stages of what goes into it, sound, audio, just sound foley, color grading. If you really want to get serious about putting something out, of good quality, you're gonna go through kind of all those stages of storyboarding, just the whole process of it. So unless you're, understanding of it, you could jump into it and really the project expand or grow exponentially beyond your capabilities of doing it yourself. So that's where, like I said, I'm not an audio person. I know a little bit to mess around with, but if I was working on a big project or a project of my own that I really wanted to have a polished look, I wouldn't attempt to do audio engineering myself. I'd connect with somebody that I know they have the skills and knowledge of audio. If I wanted to put something out, I know how to go in and fiddle around with color grading, but I'm not a colorist. That's a whole discipline in and of itself. I would, you know, tap a friend that was a colorist or hire a colorist to color grade a project. So, you're always gonna, I think it's about building relationships with each other and friendships with each other because it'll be easier to get them to kind of buy onto your own idea if you're friends with them and have worked with them before. And, if, like I said, if we've had a long relationship and I had an animated short I was working on, and I'd say, hey, Douglas, I'm working on this little animated short. Can you do some illustrations for me, or can you flesh out some character ideas for me? I think if we had a relationship, you know, and I was on a budget, if we had a relationship, it'd be a little bit easier to kind of say, hey, this is a story. What do you think about it? You'd probably be more open to helping me along with it, obviously, than if,
Sure.
if it was somebody strictly coming in for money. So that's what I mean. Building the relationship kind of helps you to kind of expand yourself to having people that you can tap into, to ask them, okay, well, can you give me an hour or two of, your time to kind of color grade this or flesh out some characters for me, that type of thing. Or you may find somebody that, wow, I really love this story idea that you're writing. Who are you working with to, draw out the characters to actually, do the character designs? You may come across people that are really gung ho as you are about your idea and are willing to work with you. And that's where you see, okay, I got one person that's really behind it, just like I am, and you try and build this team of people that are really passionate about your idea and the story that you're doing, type of thing.
But yes,
Uh,
I would love to help you out with any other project that you might be trying to do.
And I keep these things in my mind. Like I said, that's part of the reason why I love doing the show, because I've had the chance to build relationships with so many creators in different areas that I'm not. That's not like my jam. Like I said, I'm not a producer, executive producer, so I wouldn't know if I even wanted to. Even if I had an idea of a story, I would know the first inkling of how to put a production of a story. But since I know producers, animation producers, and people that have worked in the production pipeline, I have somebody I can at least ask and say, hey, what's involved in putting, what are the things that I need to know about and trying to put together something like this. So it's a great industry, and it's a great, I think, pool of creative people that I just love connecting with, and seeing what they're doing and how they're doing and learning from them. And I try, as old school as I try to be open and just receptive to technology, which I think it serves me well, because if I was really averse to technology, I'd still be stuck in the old way of doing things and thinking I wouldn't want to use a phone or a computer or anything like that. But I see how it's really helped me expand the things in what I do. I would have never thought doing a live stream show with the equipment that I have and have learned to use. I wouldn't have never thought of it, when I first started out. But, you know, the nature of technology and connecting with people and learning, you just expands your mind. Expand your mind, people. Open yourself up. Uh, as we bring this, like I said, train into the station, it's been, like I said, a fun conversation, and we are 1 hour and 36 minutes into this, hour and a half into this show. As we bring this train into the station, what would be kind of your parting thought or parting words to creatives just coming into this industry, or thinking about coming into this industry? Audio.
I've had
Your
people. Hey,
okay. Your audio's back now. Your audio went out. His audio
yeah,
went.
how about now?
Now I can hear you now. Okay.
Everything's good.
Yeah, everything's good. So
Okay,
did you hear the question?
I did. Did you hear my answer?
I thought yeah. Well, it sounded like you mouthed the answer. That's why we didn't hear it, but it sounded like you mouthed it. What's your party words for somebody that's just wanting to come into the industry?
Don't settle for less, and also expect nothing less from yourself. You can be told everything under the sun will work out, and you just have to understand that that would probably be settling. You should be able to do everything yourself. Don't hope that it'll fit into place. Make it fit into place, and expect nothing less from yourself. That's, putting yourself down, saying, "Oh, I can't do this. I'll never be able to do this." Like, who is telling you that other than you, bro? Like, tell
Yeah,
yourself, "I can do this. I'm going to do this. It will be done."
yeah.
Make sure you have a to-do list. Make sure it's somewhere written down. Make sure it's somewhere you can see it. Keep doing it. Keep going at it. Don't settle for less.
Powerful words of wisdom to follow, for sure. And I believe words have power. I'm a big believer words have power, for sure. Um, Everybody, this has been, like I said, a great episode. We definitely are going to be having Douglas back on for sure. Make sure, like I said, that you connect with him. Let me move this up here. Make sure that you connect with him. You can find him on his website, DougInc.com. He's also on Instagram and Twitter, which is X now. So
X
All
now.
of those are Doug Inc. So you can find him there. And all of this stuff, will be in the show notes on the playlist when it gets up on there for sure. So definitely make sure that you check out this full episode. If you're just kind of catching it out on the back end, there's a lot of good stuff in there in the middle and at the beginning that you'll definitely want to check out. So make sure that you go back through and watch all of the episode for sure. Again, thank you, Doug, for coming on and really, making another great episode. Can't thank you enough, brother, for sharing.
Hey,
And
I
definitely,
appreciate you. Thank you.
and definitely can't wait to have you back on for sure. Definitely got to get you back on and have you as a guest. If you could hang out in the green room for a minute while I close out the show, I appreciate it. And so give me a chance to holler at you after I close it out. But again, everybody, please help me thank again my friend Douglas Sweeper for coming on and increasing us. Hang out, Mr. Doug, for a second while I close it out there. Oh man, oh man, oh man. This has been another great episode. Man, I love doing these shows for sure. And like I said, I can't believe that I've been able to do this for 4 years so far, going on 5 years. Wow. I can honestly say that. But definitely looking forward to it. And as we close out this last quarter, it's only going to get better for sure. Make sure, like I said, that you join us. We're here each and every week, every Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Time, on all the channels. Make sure that you join us. Again, this was a great episode. Next week is going to be no exception for sure. Definitely looking forward to my next guest, Miss Ikrama Marche, film and video editor. Super looking forward to that one. It's going to be a fun episode. And definitely don't want you to miss out on Ikrama coming on the show. I'm looking forward to it for sure. Everybody, have a great weekend. Definitely have a great rest of the Saturday. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time today. Make sure you have a productive weekend, and I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, everybody. Cheers.